So, there was supposed to be, or I thought I heard somewhere that there was going to be a Lorwyn novel coming out with Lorwyn in January. Um, and I assumed it was going to come in the bundle. But then I went to go look it up because I couldn't remember where I heard it. And it turns out, no, there's no novel. There's some written material, or I guess a collection of stories that'll be on apparently Dungeons and Dragons Beyond, and that's where the twist comes in, because the actual news about it is more interesting than the novel. I mean, I really like for there to be some more Magic the Gathering novels, like physical novels that come some way, either in a bundle or separately, things that I can order, because I personally like novelizations of the things I'm a fan of, right? And I read them generously because they're not always the best written. I want the information and the narrative of, the place that I'm interested in, and I don't necessarily need them to be, great literary works. Some of them are quite good. Star Wars, Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons, Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, even some BattleTech books. I haven't read any Warhammer books, but at some point I will. So I like them all. Some are better than others. And if you've read any of these novels, you know which ones are. And I would like to see a Lorwyn novel and the ability to order it, but that's not what's really happening. And the connection to D&D Beyond is that for some reason they're putting out a Lorwyn book for Dungeons and Dragons, a campaign setting. Previously, they'd done a Ravnica one, a Theros one, and a Strixhaven one, and I have them. They're pretty good. They give you good ideas for your own campaign setting, and I like reading lore about things that I'm interested in. They're very good lore books, so if you are into magic lore, well, then you should probably pick up those books, because they have probably more in-depth, well-written lore than you're going to glean from, flavor text on cards, or even the little tie-in stories that they put in for each set or whatever. Because from what I understand, a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily very good. Sometimes people like it, but other times they don't. So it's not a novel, it's a campaign setting, and apparently there's a connection to the Forgotten Realms, that there's a portal somewhere near the Moonshae Isles that leads to Lorwyn. So Lorwyn isn't on the Forgotten Realms. It's not part of the D&D multiverse necessarily. I don't think Ravnica, Theros, and Strixhaven are either. I think they're sort of like intermediary planes, or there's an intermediary way to get to them between the planes of Magic the Gathering and the prime material realms of Dungeons and Dragons. Or, I mean, you can just set them in the Dungeons and Dragons multiverse if you want, or leave them in the Magic the Gathering multiverse if you want. It just seems that these two multiverses have some sort of points of connection, and so Lorwyn has a point of connection directly to the Forgotten Realms, which is different because they haven't done that before. I think it was the Spiral Staircase. I can't remember the name of that campaign setting, but that is an intermediary plane of existence, and it seemed like that also was a connection between different multiverses. Who knows if that'll show up in Reality Fracture? That'd be interesting. But the Lorwyn thing, having a direct portal from Forgotten Realms, places the two multiverses, or the Magic the Gathering planes, its multiverse, and the Dungeons and Dragons Prime Material Plane multiverse. It puts them in a closer point of contact than I think the previous planes were. So it's interesting. I would prefer a novel. A campaign setting. I mean, people really like Lorwyn, so you're going to get a lot of, lore out of Lorwyn, the campaign setting for Dungeons and Dragons. And if you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons or trying Dungeons and Dragons, you'll be able to play in Lorwyn, and you'll be able to do the things you would do in Lorwyn. And they won't. I don't think they. When you play Magic the Gathering, it's very different than playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I don't think you're going to play. It's going to feel exactly like you're playing the cards, because that doesn't sound interesting to me at all. But I've read parts of the different campaign settings that are available in Dungeons and Dragons that are Magic the Gathering planes, and they sound like fun campaign settings, even if you didn't create your own campaign setting and you just place your characters in there. I did contemplate actually not using a homebrew setting and just using Ravnica, right? Just using it as it is, because it was kind of cool. So, and I may still at some point, again, I work way too much and don't have enough time on my hands, and I still got to get a GI Joe game going. And people ask me about it at the store, and I really, really got to get that going. Maybe before the end of the year, I'll get something going on that. Now I'm going off on a tangent that has nothing to do with Lorwyn, but if you were also hoping that there was a Lorwyn novel, or that you want the return of Magic the Gathering novels, let me know in the comments below, because, I feel you, man. Anyway, have a good day.